All right, thank you very much. Hello, everybody. It's your good friend Pozzible here, and I'm back with Joe.
Hello.
And Bucky.
Hello.
And today we're going to be tackling a pretty serious topic, something that came out recently. You know, Deadpool did come out, and it's doing gangbusters, great reviews, it's setting records all over the place.
47 million on its open night.
Yeah, that's huge.
I heard it broke like 2 records.
Yeah.
It's like the most for an R-rated movie, basically, for its opening night.
And, you know, that was a huge deal. I remember one person telling me that, you know, if you... This was like... I think this was at Phoenix Comic-Con a year or two ago when Deadpool was coming out. People were talking about whether or not it was going to be rated R. And an expert I know said that if you ever make a rated R movie, you're saying goodbye to almost $100 million. Because you're pretty much getting rid of the kids. And that was a big controversy. You know, there's a lot of stuff out there that says Deadpool is not for kids. You know, don't bring your kids to Deadpool. There's a lot of advertising where Deadpool is saying, guys, I appreciate you being my fans, but don't bring your kids to see my movie, please. Bucky is the only one who has seen it. You're our movie expert here, Bucky. Just tell us, was it for kids?
No, however, I will say that I did see it twice. Once in the morning and once at night with a bunch of friends. And at both screenings, like 50% of the audience was like 10-year-olds and to 12-year-olds. And it's like, you know, I guess the parents don't mind. And for the record, this is not a superhero movie. It is a comic book character movie. There's a difference. He is not a superhero.
Are you sure? Because I remember in the trailer he did say...
He even says in the movie that he's not a superhero.
Because he says, you know, when they steal your girlfriend, you become a superhero. That's what he says in the trailer, at least. I don't know if that's in the movie.
I don't remember it in the movie.
Okay.
But still, yeah, it's important to note that it's rated R for a reason.
Now, that said, I want to just stop the discussion of Deadpool right now. Bucky... will review Deadpool on his site. Where can they find you, Bucky?
It's actually up on my site already on indefensible.gambit.wordpress.com.
Right. And you know, if you want to catch reviews of Deadpool, they're all over the place. I'm going to see it.
And of course, I just want to say that my review of Deadpool is spoiler-free, so you don't need to worry about anything being spoiled. But I try to for movies like that. I try to do a spoiler-free one first. I probably will not get around to doing a spoiler review, but so yeah, the spoiler-free review is up on the site, free to view, along with every other movie that I've reviewed so far.
Now we all know that Hollywood is a business first, and they are very cash-driven. When they see the money coming in, they get a sense this is a trend. People want this. Let's make more of this stuff. So, in your opinion, Bucky, would you say Deadpool succeeded?
Oh, definitely. I mean, I've never read Deadpool comics at all.
I've only played the Deadpool video game.
I know of his character.
Mm-hmm.
I know the general knowledge stuff about him. The thing that drove me to see the movie was the marketing for this movie.
That is one thing I'm hearing about. They did a great job marketing.
It's like the last Hunger Games movie to come out. You've seen that movie poster with Katniss sitting on the throne, or whatever that is? Mm-hmm. And so, of course, they did one with Deadpool sitting on the throne.
Yes!
And so it's like when they do start doing stuff like that, I thought that was a phenomenal idea.
You know, the promotion of this has been incredible. I've seen more just... fun promotion, more from Deadpool than from any other movie I've really ever seen.
I even like one of my favorite ones was the one where it showed Ryan Reynolds and
Olivia Munn.
No,
it's not Psylocke.
No.
Okay.
With Ryan Reynolds and I'm really gonna butcher her name, but his love interest in the movie.
Okay.
Marina Baccarin, best known as
best known as.
Yeah, basically from Firefly.
Okay.
But, yeah, on the movie poster, they have it, the tone is like a romantic comedy.
Okay.
And it has Deadpool, and it has, like, out on February 12th, you know, take your girlfriend, you know, this basically lovey-dovey type of tone to it. And it's Deadpool.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's one of my favorite things, the whole reverse psychology thing. It was perfect.
Well, there was a lot of pictures of Ryan Reynolds posing as Deadpool. There's one funny video out there where Deadpool wishes Australia a happy Australian Day because obviously Deadpool, their first I use the term loosely, attempt at explaining his origin was from Wolverine origins. Didn't go over too well. But then there's just a lot of pictures. And from what I understand, at one of the screenings, pre-screenings that they did, Ryan Reynolds showed up. He actually did it. So he's been very active in promoting this movie in a very unique way.
Oh, I've even heard him say that he wants to play Deadpool until the end of time.
I can imagine that. He seems to be having a lot of fun with this movie.
Exactly. And he stole the Deadpool suit, too.
So definitely...
I heard about that.
I did not hear about that. What happened?
Basically, they were comparing Ben Affleck as Batman to Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool.
Okay.
Ben Affleck, I guess, to buy the Batsuit was like $100,000. And Ben Affleck was all here like, no, I don't want it.
I'll just take a picture.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Ryan Reynolds, he actually stole the Deadpool suit.
He actually took it from him and everything?
Yeah, he stole it. He goes, I've been waiting, 10 years to play this role. God damn right I'm keeping the suit.
Why did it take 10 years? Oh, wait, is that when...
It was something like
Wolverine
that.
Origins came out?
It's probably something like that.
Okay.
But yeah.
I guess I forgot when Wolverine Origins... I didn't think it was that long ago. I'm going to have to pull up my phone here. But while we're looking this up...
It was something like that. It was yours. I know he said that much.
One of the things I want to bring up when it comes to, bringing your kids there... do we really have an issue with that? Because if you grew up in the 80s... Yeah, Wolverine Origins was 2009. But anyway, if you grew up in the 80s... Let's face it, some of our best movies and our toy lines came from movies that were rated R. Rambo, Arnold Schwarzenegger movies, you know.
Revenge of the Nerds.
Revenge of the Nerds, yeah.
That's still a classic.
Oh, yeah.
But things
definitely.
were a lot less strict back then,
I know. I mean, we could get away with this. And, people, if we went to go watch, Stallone or Chuck Norris or Schwarzenegger blow people away, they weren't worried about us just picking up our guns and going shooting people. So
right.
We had it better in the 80s, guys. But the funny thing is that, I remember they actually this one lady sent a letter to the studios saying that her 8-year-old child loves Deadpool.
I remember hearing that. And she wanted the studio to make a PG-13.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I heard about that.
Now, the funny thing is she doesn't see the illogical fallacy with her statement. Even if it's PG-13, her son's still not old enough to see it.
Well, I think she's using Common Core math.
Oh, okay. There we go.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That would explain it.
There we go.
But yeah. So okay, let's say this, and I'll let you guys decide which way you want to go. The future, another rated R superhero movie. Would you rather first talk about the superheroes that we can make it out of, or the superheroes that we cannot make it out of? Now, technically speaking, any superhero could really be part of a rated R show.
Right, yeah.
However, there are some... Okay, let's just start with this, okay? There are some that absolutely, really should not be rated R. For example, Spider-Man and Superman. Those two guys are just, the heroes themselves. No, you can see it, but you're talking about two very kid-friendly superheroes, They're kid role models,
the thing
too.
is, one of those ones, thing is, this is opening doors, because technically, you can make two Spider-Man movies and have them be two separate tones. You could actually make a PG Spider-Man movie for the kids and make an R-rated Spider-Man movie for the adults.
It is possible, but you always have those people that will want to see both.
Because let's face it, is Venom a kid-friendly Spider-Man villain?
In some ways he is. Other ways he's not.
More Venom than Carnage, I think.
Yeah, more Venom than Carnage.
Carnage isn't, but yet Carnage is a kid favorite.
Yeah.
Well, but now we're talking about the villains you're putting in. The superhero themselves, especially those two, I just feel like if you were to make a rated R version of Superman or Spider-Man, you're just opening up the wrong doors for those two characters.
Well, like you said, it also depends on the villain, too. Because you can make a PG Spider-Man movie and put Rhino as the villain. No problem.
No, they kind of did that with Amazing Spider-Man 2.
I mean, an actual Rhino, not the mechanical Rhino.
Whatever the heck that was at the end.
We're not going to talk about that. That was just absolute bullcrap. But, But it's like, yeah, have the Rhino for the kids, and then have like Venom and Carnage, Hobgoblin, Green Goblin for like the R-rated Spider-Mans. Superman, you can have
Doomsday.
Well, the thing is, one of my issues with this movie that's coming out is that since DC is taking the serious tone approach, they're not going to be as comedic. I'm afraid that I'm not going to see Bizarro. Bizarro, I think, would be an interesting thing to see on screen.
You could do a Bizarro in a series.
But you have to admit, that would be more for the kid-friendly Superman.
Now, when it comes to superheroes, Joe, you help me out here. What are some really kid-friendly superheroes? Because, I mean, don't get me wrong, all superheroes have run the gambit of light to dark.
Fantastic Four, I think, would be
very kid-friendly.
The thing here is I'm going to give you, because I've went to panels at Comic-Con where, like, DC versus Marvel, they say, who'd win in a fight, and they name a Marvel and DC character. I'm going to give you the same answer that they gave us there. Which superheroes are kid-friendly? It ultimately depends on who's writing them. Well, any writer can take a hero and change them and darken them or lighten them. I've read, like Bucky said, you got Fantastic Four. I've read both issues, like both sides of that, where they were the really kid-friendly Fantastic Four, and I've read some really dark issues.
Right.
So, I mean, I don't necessarily think they would go rated R, but, I mean, even, like, Spider-Man could get dark at times.
Right.
It's like I know in the comic books, Marvel actually has this comic line called Marvel Knights, where the storylines are more adult-oriented. And, I mean, I've never read them, but, I mean, it's like Howard the Duck, drinks and, does stuff like last time I saw Howard the Duck, he was in an 80s movie in an animatronic, or a midget in a suit.
Yep. If you want to catch on that, just look up a list of the worst superhero movies ever made, and Howard the Duck will be there. Along with Catwoman and Supergirl and Steel. But, I mean, the point is, though, the kids will really, really want to see Spider-Man. They'll really want to see Superman.
But the thing is, if we're at the point now where the parents don't care that their 10-year-old son is seeing Deadpool, I don't think they're going to care about an R-rated Spider-Man movie.
Yeah, I know. I can actually see that, but when it comes to it's just about ease. I guess it's about making them feel better, about buying the ticket. You might say
it doesn't. Like I said, I don't think it matters now. I think. Deadpool has crossed the barrier. I think we're at a point now where it's going to be socially acceptable to have an R-rated. I don't want to say superhero because Deadpool's not a superhero. R-rated comic book character.
We do know what you mean.
What about metahuman?
Whatever term you want to use.
Well, you know why you can use the word superhero is because technically it's DC and Marvel, and DC and Marvel are the only two companies that jointly own the right to the word superhero. Believe it or not, if I actually wrote a book and I said, okay, this character is a superhero, they could actually come after me and say, okay, your copyright infringement. You don't have the right to use it. Are you serious? Oh yeah, they own the right to that word.
I did not know that.
I believe, don't quote me on this. Now, guys, remember, we're not lawyers, especially me. I do believe they're pretty cool about it. Like, they're not going to really come after somebody just because they use the word.
It was just a generic term.
There are no such thing as generic terms anymore. Somebody owns something. But now, let's flip the page here real quick. We talked about mostly the superheroes that, in my opinion, should not be in rated R movies. However, what would be the one superhero, maybe two, that you would really like to see in a rated R movie?
As much as I don't like the character that much, Batman.
You know what? I can't argue with that because I agree. No. Because I saw Gotham. I just finished Gotham season 1. Yes, I'm a little behind, but anyway.
Yeah, I finished season 1 a while ago.
Yeah,
I think would be like almost rated R. Some of the violence in that.
Depending on how you do it, because the thing is, I grew up watching the Batman TV series from the 60s.
Right.
So you can actually go PG rated on that, or you can go R. It depends which tone you want.
Well, should they really go for that tone, especially with as serious as DC likes to make their movies? Should they just bite the bullet? Because Batman, absolutely, he's got the gangs, he's got these bars, he's got people talking all this dirty stuff. And when you saw, do you remember Gotham season 1? At one point, Bullock has to enter a club of basically sexual fetishes.
Yeah.
You never see what's up on the stage, but he just says, "Oh hell no!" Pulls out his badge and says, "GCBT, nobody move." You know?
Yeah.
It's like he's like he had to go in there to shake him down, and it only took him 2 minutes to be like, "Okay, I'm not watching any of this stuff anymore. We're just closing this place down." But they had a very, because a lot of, can you imagine some kid turning to the parents saying, "Mommy, what was going up on that stage?" And they go, "Never mind, son, never mind."
See, that's just it, is that I think we've reached a point now where, as much as I hate to say this, I don't think parents really care. They just want to get rid of their child for 2 hours. So...
I think in this situation for Deadpool, they were there with them, though, weren't they?
Not all of them.
Not all of them, huh?
But the thing is, though, is that I think for a lot of people, the concern about kids being in the theater wasn't the fact that what's on screen is inappropriate for them. It was the fact that, this person's going to be disruptive during the movie. And so...
That actually is my major concern.
However, from what I've gathered, you'll find more of a distraction from people our age. Because the kids will sit really quiet, because they don't want to bring any attention to themselves.
Right. Well, that does make sense. Kids, they're still in that school age where they're taught to sit quietly and pay attention.
So... Because like I said, I was at 2 showings, and there were kids in both showings, and all of it, pretty much as soon as the movie started, with the exception of, the roarous laughter and applause during certain scenes, which I can't get into because of spoilers.
Right.
But, other than that, everyone was, dead silent.
Now, when it comes to movies in general, right now, we've watched a lot of live-action movies. And... Joe, I know you have some back there. I've seen a lot of them. DC is doing a little bit better than Marvel, but Marvel's catching up with them. There's like a secret war, a direct-to-video war, where they actually animate a lot of movies. And I don't know about you, but they don't come out into theaters near us. They come out direct-to-DVD, and I think that's a crime, because some of those movies are really good. All right? Now, the thing is, though, those movies are very strictly meant for the diehard fans. They're not meant for the general audience, but I still think people would really like them. I saw recently, it was called Avengers Confidential with Punisher and Black Widow, and I saw Son of Batman. Now, Son of Batman, that was a pretty dark one,
yeah.
too.
That one was based off the comic, which the comic was pretty brutal.
Right. And, those are still rated PG-13, though, aren't they?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I'd love them to do a comic book movie where they just wrote the movie and didn't pull any punches and just wait and see the whole thing and then rate it. Because I know we've discussed before, I don't believe in censorship.
Right. Well, this is more of a question of appealing to a certain kind of audience. And one thing Deadpool is showing us is that even though it's rated R and it has that kind of content, parents are still willing to bring their kids into that movie.
Right.
Because let's face it, what does rated R really mean? It means restricted. Okay?
Right.
Meaning no one under the age of, I think it's 18? 17 without
a parent or
guardian. Now, if you really want to get crazy, NC-17, which basically says no one below the age of 17, period.
But as we know, the rating system in this country is bullcrap.
Well, that's a topic for another day. There's actually a movie out. I forget what it's called, but it's all about this person as they try to understand better the rating system and how it works and everything.
Right, I remember you telling me about that.
It's kind of a bizarre process when you really think about it. The way they have it set up, though, to be fair, if you watch the movie, they really don't have it set up for censorship. Like, I know people will say, oh, we were told to cut this out and told to cut that out. The rating board will actually not do that because they don't want to be censoring you. But it will be the studio that says, well, we got this rating. Obviously, it's because cut here, cut there. But that said, like I said, that's a topic for another day.
Right. I'm just trying to say that, I think Deadpool opened up a can here, and it's like, it's going to be interesting to see how far movies are going to go and how far kids will go to see a movie.
And that brings up one big question, and I'm sorry, we should have really started with this question. What does it benefit to give a movie, especially, let's focus on superhero movies, of course, what is the benefit of a rated R? Go ahead, Bucky.
Okay, I'll answer that question with a question. Have you ever, when you were younger, did you ever sneak into an R-rated movie?
Sneak in, no. But I saw rated R movies, because cable, guys. Cable was just coming out, so it was all there.
Okay, how about you, Joe? Did you ever sneak into an R-rated movie?
Nah, never.
Am I really the bad boy of the group?
Apparently.
Wow! I can't count the number of R-rated movies I've snuck into. Although that's not an admission of guilt. But,
See, I didn't have to sneak into them because they were on VHS. Yes, VHS. And so...
VHS was awesome.
We watched them with our parents back then.
Yeah, the thing is, but back then, we were raised to know the difference between fantasy and reality. We knew what we were watching was not real, so I don't think our parents really cared,
Right.
Because, during that age at the time, we knew that in 2 hours we wouldn't really remember. We wouldn't go out and act what we saw in the movie.
Actually, yes, we did.
I didn't.
Oh yeah, I would go next door to my friend, and either I'd be Rambo and he'd be the communist, or I'd be
yeah.
one
But you're
hero.
not going to put on a hockey mask and pick up a machete and anything, are you?
No, we never did. We never did Friday the 13th, but the action movies.
Well, the thing is, I have an older brother, so I started seeing R-rated movies, especially horror movies, very early.
Ah, yes.
So the thing is that after a while, especially with the Freddy and Jason movies, you find out just how ridiculous they are.
But you know what?
But they're entertaining.
Yeah. And also, you got to remember, at the time, it was new and fresh. And
it's like, I'm sure if we were to re-release the movies now, they'd probably be PG-13.
Yeah, exactly.
Only because,
Well, it's hard to say. Well, so go through some of those movies. Probably Nightmare on Elm Street would be probably PG-13, but Jason would still be rated R, I think. Because, ultimately, what is really the difference between a PG and 13 and a rated R is the graphicness. Graphicness? We created a new word, guys!
Well, you do that like once a week.
Yeah, how graphic it is. Because let's face it, there are times when it's like, okay, PG-13. Guy goes into a room, closes the door, you hear da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Rated R. The guy goes into a room, you follow him, he pulls up the gun, you see all the squibs blowing up.
Well, the thing is, one thing I remember was when I was younger, one of the Jason movies, probably one of the most ridiculous one was Part 6. I forgot what it's called. I just remember that it was Part 6.
I think that was
Jason Lives, I believe.
Yeah, I think, yeah.
Or
The New Beginning.
Jason, I think, grabs a guy, smacks him into a tree, and the guy was holding a machete.
Okay.
So it shows Jason holding the machete, but it's at the very bottom of the screen. Then he lifts up the machete, and you see the guy's arm still holding on to the machete.
Right.
So, to me, that wasn't gross. That was funny, actually.
Right. Well, that's what they were going for, I'm sure. Yeah.
Exactly. So, to me, is that R-rated content?
You know what? I was going to say,
now,
it depends how much blood was shown.
Just like drippy,
Okay, then yes.
Now, funny thing is had they shown the arm actually being ripped off from the body, that's a different story. Right. That's definitely R.
I think it's also the R would be the dripping blood. Like if they showed you blood stained, not rated R.
Like I said, there's a whole different, But like I said, I saw it when I was young. It didn't scar me. It's like that's one thing that really bugs me about parents nowadays. They're so afraid that the child will be scarred and have nightmares, and it's like
we're becoming pretty protective. I can remember, growing up in northern Michigan. My friends and I left, even when I first moved to Arizona, my friends and I left on our own all the time to go hang out across the street. Or it was the early 80s, so I literally lived next to a forest, okay, a little patch of nothing.
Right.
Just trees and trails and creeks. And we walked through that thing all the time by ourselves.
And how old were you around?
I was thinking around 7, 8, 9. Yeah.
Okay. And I think it was like just last year there was a news article.
Yep.
Where a 10-year-old girl and
10 years old, yeah.
and her little sister, 7-year-old, walked just across the street to a park.
Yep.
In the neighborhood. And apparently the mother, I think, got cited for child neglect or something.
Exactly.
Like that.
I mean, I walked into a forest for crying out loud.
Exactly.
By myself. Sometimes by myself. We would climb trees. I mean, come on, we were kids. We climbed trees, but we didn't have adult supervision when that happened.
It's like when I was younger. Half the time when I go outside, I'd go out in bare feet.
Yeah.
You know, it's like people, nowadays, some moms are so protective, they pretty much wipe down, sanitizer on their child hands. It's like, it almost seems like, it's like, I understand you care for your child, but there's a limit.
But the thing is that we
don't mean to get off on this whole tirade. We're talking about movies here. Let's try staying on topic.
But getting back to the movies, we all also, and Bucky was bringing this point up with Friday the 13th. There is a very fine line between PG-13 and rated R, Obviously, in my opinion, when I watch some of these movies, you almost get a feeling that they wish they could make some of these movies rated R,
Oh, definitely.
Because you see a lot of the kill 'em offs, or, the famous, you shoot the person and you see the shadow reacting to getting shot.
Right. There are quite a few movies where you can tell that the director either held back or they were told something that, they...
Can anyone think of an example offhand?
I can. I'm not sure how descriptive I can get, but I'll try keeping it clean. One of my favorite horror movies of all time is called Sleepaway Camp.
Oh, yes.
And the killer kills one of the campers with a curling iron. And you see the victim's shadow on the wall, and you basically see the killer unclip the curling iron where it's like separated, and then very next thing you see is the victim's arms comes up, so it's like trying to grab for something.
Right.
Now, of course, obviously, considering it's even just an R-rated movie, they couldn't show what the killer was actually doing. And in fact, when I was a little kid, I had to look online to find out what actually was going on.
Right.
And so, but basically, there were 2 orifices down in the lower part of the body where...
moving, yes.
Yeah, so obviously...
Moving right along.
Exactly. So, it's like, obviously they couldn't show that.
Right.
So they implied it.
Now, in superhero movies, though, is there any... And if you can think of a moment in a superhero movie where you could tell... They could have gone rated R, but instead they made it PG-13, or even PG. Like, let's face it, everyone talks about that, Lois Lane and Superman, the night they spent together, which, remember Superman Returns? They,
Is that the one that sucked?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm not going to remember it then.
But, there's also moments where it's like, okay, Superman and Lois, obviously they got together at one point or another.
Oh, I'm sure you remember even just way back in the 80s. Remember the movie Howard the Duck?
Yes.
Remember one of the opening scenes that was the R-rated scene, but it was a PG movie? When Howard, I can't remember what, he was either looking at a neighbor's apartment.
Right, looking through the window and she was getting undressed and everything.
Right, it showed
and it was a duck.
A fellow duck humanoid taking a bath, and she was topless. They showed duck boobs. Now, of course, that's not regular boobs, so there was no reason to be offended.
Right,
They're duck boobs, so it should stay a PG movie.
But you know what? The people they kept it in there, didn't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, you gotta admit, if you think it's interesting now, you should have been around in the 80s when we had either PG or rated R.
Yeah.
There was no PG-13 at the time,
right.
But Steven Spielberg had to make that happen so that his Gremlins didn't get a rated R. I think it was Gremlins 2 or Gremlins. I keep forgetting. And
Gremlins, I think, was PG.
Right. I think it's been upgraded now to PG-13 nowadays. But the rating system can be crazy. The real problem is, ultimately, if you do make something rated R, obviously there's going to be something in there that people in general would deem not appropriate for kids. With that said, should we ever even go the extra mile here and make a superhero movie NC-17, or is that going too far?
Depends on the hero.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
or like Bucky said, comic book character.
Right. Well, I mean, obviously, I would say that Spider-Man, Superman should not be NC-17.
Deadpool should be.
Deadpool could be.
You know what I'd like to see?
Who's that?
Lobo.
Lobo movie.
Yeah, I love the studios to get together and do a Lobo meets Deadpool.
That would be interesting.
Yeah, that would be really cool.
Punisher, I could see being NC-17.
Yeah. Oh, big time.
But Punisher, definitely just for the violence alone.
Well, you know what movie was almost NC-17? No, NC-17. Or rated X at the time.
RoboCop.
RoboCop was, for the violence.
Actually, I didn't think it was the violence. I thought it was because of that scene with the acid.
Oh, okay.
I thought that was the only reason it got the X rating.
No, just overall. I mean, RoboCop was a very, very violent movie.
Right.
That said, they sold toys to kids.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the one thing I felt amazing. I walked around Target today. I didn't see a lot of Deadpool stuff. But when RoboCop came out in the 80s, there was all sorts of toys.
Yeah, marketing is really screwing things up to some, it's like, I think it was like a few months ago when Star Wars Force Awakens comes out. The main character is female, but you hardly ever saw any toys of the main female character.
When did that happen? We had female toys back in the day. Yeah. We didn't mind.
I'm not sure when it happened, but
but it's not just Star Wars. Avengers came out. And
there was no Black Widow.
But when you see the plane with the motorcycle coming out of it, guess who's coming out of it?
Black Widow.
In the movie, but on the box, on the toy, it's Captain America.
Really?
Yes.
Interesting.
Now, I actually don't get that at all. I mean, here's the thing. People want to collect the set. We want to collect all the Avengers.
Right.
So, yes, we would want our Black Widow and our Scarlet Witch because they were part of the characters. They're part of the set.
Right.
And the girls, goes without saying, they want to have their female characters that they can play with, like the boys do.
Right. I'm not sure when it became subterranean, but I mean, for lack of a better, I can't find the right word right now, but you know what I'm saying is that they're focusing more on the guys because I guess it's action movies and it's like...
Well, that didn't stop them in the past. I mean, right? He-Man.
Yeah.
There was a Teela character, right?
Yeah, but they were few and far between. They
Sorceress?
But then when they came out with their She-Ra line, it was all women. And
that didn't stop them at all, And then there's also, Star Wars, Princess Leia.
And then you had, I myself have a Padme action figure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure at what point they decided to make it more male-centric, but...
Well, there's just no logic to their decision whatsoever.
I didn't say there was logic.
Yeah.
In fact, I recently got Joe here a Monopoly game, a Star Wars Monopoly game.
Yes.
I got it sealed up real nice.
For the Force, I think it was basically a Force Awakens set.
Right.
Yep.
And there are 6 tokens, and not one of them is Rey.
Yeah, I think there's 4. There's I think it's Luke and Finn, Kylo Ren, and
Darth Vader.
Yeah.
And so it just surprises me that there's, they have Finn but no Rey. So and enough people complained about it. So now they're coming out with another Monopoly set that's going to include Rey.
And now...
And I'm going to have that one too.
Yeah, and now Joe's Monopoly set is a collector's item because...
That's why it's staying in a very safe, sealed location.
It's going to be a rare item in the next 10 or 15 years.
Yeah.
But it goes to say, when it comes to the rated R, though, let's play devil's advocate here for a second. Obviously, there are kids who are crying to their parents now about how Jimmy got to see it, but you're not going to let me see it because it's rated R, Not that it's going to hurt Deadpool, but obviously it's not going to receive the money it did. If Deadpool Part 2 did come out PG-13, what would be your reaction, Joe?
I could go either way. I mean, I haven't seen...
Whoa, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I haven't seen this Deadpool yet. I do want to see it. I am very interested. I've heard a lot of good things, so I wouldn't care either way. I kind of like to see it. It basically, if this one makes all this money, then I'm going with the thing of if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Right.
Type deal.
Okay.
All right, this one was it made good money, then I don't see where you're going to hurt making the next one. Unless, now where they could go wrong here is this one made R because all the kids saw it, parents were offended by their kids seeing it or whatever, so then they don't let their kids see the next one that's rated R.
Oh, that is a possibility. Bucky, what's your thoughts? Because you actually saw Deadpool. This one was rated R. Next one's going to be PG-13. Your reaction?
I would be curious why they're holding back.
All the complaints they've been getting. I'm just making that part up.
Well, the thing is, Deadpool is like one of the few characters where there's no way you can make a PG-13 version.
Oh, yes, there is.
Unless they literally did everything that's inappropriate off screen.
Yeah. There, you can do that. Also, don't you remember watching Wolverine in some of the earlier television shows? If you ever watched like Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, one thing that Wolverine did is he got his claws stuck a lot, and he just cuts down like ropes and that, but he doesn't really cut people or anything, you know. But you know it does.
But I'd probably end up going. I'd probably end up seeing the PG-13 Deadpool just to see what they did wrong. Because literally, I mean, Deadpool is not a PG-13 character. But I don't care how many people complain. There's just some things you just can't do.
But I think they could do a PG-13 movie. It would be a challenge. It's kind of like, you know, in WWE when they have these high-profile matches, but they have their no blood policy. So you're going to put two guys in a cage, but now they can't bleed, so they got to get creative. I think that's really what they'd have to do with a PG-13 Deadpool is, okay, we're taking all the excess violence and all this away from you, so okay, we still got to put out a movie, we got to get creative.
Mm-hmm.
Right, it's like, when I went to see the movie, I didn't really care about the violence, I didn't really care about the nudity. I just wanted him to be Deadpool. From what I know of him, you know? And if they can keep that in a PG-13 and keep at least the tone of this first one,
right,
fine. But I don't see how that can work.
Do you guys think that when it comes to Deadpool, there's going to be a lot of, you know, dare I say, parental complaints? Like, could this, you know how those parent groups are always out there.
They are.
And you know, granted,
sarcasm.
We're supposed to be like, look, guys. You can't complain. The movie's rated R for one. Number two, we actually sent out a lot of literature instead of telling people don't bring your kids, but people still brought their kids, so the parent groups still complain.
Yeah, either way, people are going to complain. It's just the way society is. We live in a society now where we actually have to put a warning label on Superman Halloween costumes that say this suit does not entitle your child to fly.
Well, that suit doesn't entitle your child to fly, but will the next suit entitle your child to fly?
I'm just saying is that.
I mean, I keep buying Flash suits, hoping I'm going to find the right suit to give me super speed. Just saying.
But anyway, it's just, people are going to complain either way.
When this is over, I'm going to complain about you saying that.
Okay, you can do that.
Yeah.
But please note, I didn't warn you. Whereas the parents, they had plenty of warning. All the warnings were there. There's even been memes on Facebook saying, this is Deadpool. Keep your kids the fuck out of the theater. They've actually, you know, Deadpool even said that because he's not a child's character. He says fuck a lot.
Right. And let us not forget that, you know, I would imagine when you went up to buy your ticket from the box office, did you hear the people telling the next group or the group ahead of you saying, all right, guys, you know this is rated R, there's going to be a lot of violence in it. Do you see, because you know what this reminds me of? Reminds me of when someone tries to buy a game from GameStop.
Yeah, you got the employees have to tell the parents, this is an M-rated game, you know, this is why it's M-rated, it's the ESRB. So that a kid can't come in and just buy it, or even if the kid brings their parents in. The parent has to be informed, like, this is every game. They buy 4 M-rated games. They have 4 times the parents. This is why it's M-rated. The ESRB got blood, it's got gore, it's intense violence, strong sexual themes.
Right.
M does not
Did
stand
you
for
notice
mild.
that when you went to go see Deadpool? Did they just sell the ticket?
They just sold me the ticket.
Okay.
But then again, I didn't really focus on what other people were doing.
Right.
So.
No, that is fair. But
let me just interrupt
Yes.
you. Is that you remember when I go to the theater, I go early enough where I'm insured a good seat.
right, and
So-
you go early enough that not many people are there anyway.
Right. I got in any AMC theater, there's what's known as the bar seats. The seat where you can put your feet up on the front bar.
Right.
I got that row middle seat. I was good. I didn't care about anyone else. I didn't care if a 5-year-old comes into the theater. I didn't care as long as I got my seat.
So for closing thoughts, I think we came to a good consensus about, when it comes to superhero movies, yes, they can make them rated R if they really wanted to. One thing about it, though, you're really making it stressful for a major part of your audience. Deadpool, he kind of does, but also he kind of doesn't have that. Because Deadpool, I mean, the guy is in most comics that is considered inappropriate. However, he's also in a lot of comics with just Spider-Man and all that. And he's joking around, he's teasing around. He does have the potty mouth that he does in the movies and stuff like that. But you know what? It'll be interesting to see how this all plays out. These kind of movies have come and gone with Hollywood not even batting an eye. One thing I don't see is, of course, with Marvel now being under Disney's roof, I don't see them making a lot of rated R movies. But when it comes to they could just sell off the rights to somebody else and just let them make the
Because remember,
movie.
Dimension Films is a subsidiary of Disney.
And did they do Deadpool?
No, they did Scream. They
Oh,
did
okay.
The Scream trilogy
Okay.
in fourth one.
But I mean, I'm sure I'd be interested to see how DC plays it out, though. And I will say this one more thing: if you have an opportunity, Marvel or DC, and you make those animated features, put them to the big screen. They're definitely worthy. They're really good shows. Good story, good plot, action that's worthy, and I think you should be bringing that kind of content to the big screen and let
And
the
aren't
people
those
decide.
cartoons more child oriented?
They are certainly not.
Yeah, no.
Really?
They are much more graphic.
Oh, I did not know that.
Because it's a cartoon now,
Flashpoint paradox. Batman the guy standing there, and Batman shoots him from behind with a gun.
Yeah.
Blows his head.
Oh,
Blows a
wow.
hole right through his head.
Yeah.
Flash in one of them. Stabbed Darkseid in the eye with like a crowbar.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah. There's also one where Damian in
That was Son of Batman.
Son of Batman, he gives Deathstroke his bad eye. It's so funny. You never know what time period this is in, and there's a battle between Deathstroke, and Deathstroke has both his eyes when it all starts. And then you're wondering, but hey, isn't that Deathstroke? Shouldn't he only have one eye? Yeah, well, that's explained in the comic book. And also, you can do more comic book-like things. Like when it comes to the opening scene of Batman, the Son of Batman, where you see Damian, he's looking at his League of Assassins, all of a sudden these helicopters pop up. These guys with machine guns are coming at them, and they're coming at them with swords and bows and arrows. And Talia even grabs a Gatling gun, but all it fires is arrows. But strong enough arrows to bring down a helicopter. So, I mean, granted, some of it can be a little out there, but it's I guess if there's anyone I'm jealous of the Japanese. Because they have anime.
Oh, yeah.
Along the same lines as going back to Deadpool for a little bit.
Yeah.
I was surprised that when I saw my first showing of Deadpool, one of the trailers I saw was for Suicide Squad.
Yes.
Which I'm surprised for a Marvel movie having a DC trailer. I found that a bit weird because you never see that.
Right. Well, I'm thinking they're going to be a little more lenient about it.
Now the thing is that I'm probably not going to see it because I don't know the characters that well. But to my understanding, isn't Suicide Squad also rated R?
I don't know.
I don't think it's been rated yet.
It could be.
Remember,
because
it's still 6 months away.
Because Harley Quinn is in it, and let's face it, she's a crazy psycho bitch.
Yeah.
So
all of them, they're all like, I'm not as concerned about her. I'm like thinking Deadshot, I believe. Deadshot's in it, and he's pretty vicious.
I think he's played by Will Smith.
Yeah, Killer Croc.
Yeah, he's not going to be in next Independence Day though.
I think the whole movie.
But yeah, I'm just wondering if it's rated R and they keep it with the tone that Deadpool is in a way, as far as because Harley Quinn does seem as crazy as Deadpool is. So it would be interesting to see a R-rated Harley Quinn movie.
It is amazing that you should bring it up like that, because what if Deadpool's success is what drives DC to say, okay, leave those scenes in, we want this to be rated R.
That would be interesting.
I will admit, though, in terms, and to grant you, Suicide Squad has 6 months to prove me wrong on this one. In terms of marketing and in terms of interest and likability, Suicide Squad is nowhere near where Deadpool was.
Oh, definitely not. It's like I'm probably not even going to see it.
Yeah.
I'm just like I said, I don't even read DC that much, but the character of Harley Quinn I find interesting.
Yeah.
She's not so good in the comics, but she's really good in Suicide Squad. Because I read both the Harley Quinn comic, Harley Quinn and Power Girl, and the new Suicide Squad.
I'm still trying to wrap my head around Jared Leto as Joker.
Yeah, I don't like that. I don't mind Jared Leto. I just don't like him I don't like his Joker.
And but yeah, Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn. I think that is probably the most perfect casting I've ever seen.
That was really good.
And so everything else I don't really care about. But
something tells me you won't have to care about that.
But six criminally insane characters.
That was more than that.
Well, they're focusing on 6.
Right. There's the Suicide Squad usually has a certain amount of characters, but there's been a lot of characters over the years.
And also, I think this is kind of what's going to determine Marvel's Sinister Six. Also, depending on how well Suicide Squad does. Because having just a group of villains,
to take down one villain,
I really can't see it succeeding. But
yeah.
Like I said, I'm very divided on it because up until the trailer, I had no interest in seeing it whatsoever. So I give kudos to the makers of the trailer for getting me interested in wanting to see it.
I will be giving Suicide Squad a chance. However, one of the problems I have with it already is that so far we have yet to see a superhero movie that does well, with the exception of the Avengers. The first Avengers, I'm not counting Age of Ultron, which is just a repeat of the first one, but where they put in so many characters, See, the thing with the Avengers, though, is that they did it right. They started with the introductions and then brought them in as a team, versus the other ones where they're just making these movies, and people are looking at some of these people saying, well, who are these guys?
Well, that's just it. Now they're focusing more on the comic book aficionados who know who Black Panther is, so there's no need to do a backstory.
Well, he's going to have his own backstory eventually, though.
Eventually, yeah, but for right now, do you need to know? I mean, you can't watch the movie and figure out that he's basically Marvel's version of Batman?
It's the other movies that have disappointed us. It's Spider-Man 3.
That's a different company altogether.
Batman and Robin.
That's a different thing altogether.
Where they just keep throwing all this stuff. Now, maybe you can juggle it properly. Maybe you can't. It's going to be hard to tell. I gotta admit, guys, I like my superheroes better focused, where it's like you have your hero and your villain, and you don't need to overload it. No one has ever left a superhero movie saying, and yes, we're off topic, I apologize, but no one ever left a superhero saying, gosh, I just wish they would have thrown in more people, It's like some of the two best Spider-Mans only had one villain. The first Spider-Man only had Green Goblin. The second Spider-Man only had the Doc Ock,
Well, they were kind of leading up to the Lizard, but that never came about.
Yeah.
I thought the Lizard would have been cool.
It would have been awesome because you had a character that was going to be the Lizard, but they didn't make him the Lizard, which I respected as a very bold move, He
was going to be the Lizard, though.
Yeah, but you didn't have... But you know what? The thing is, you don't have to introduce a character and then turn him into his alter ego in the same movie.
Right, I'm still waiting for the Hulk to have the leader in it, because they pretty much introduced him to becoming the leader.
Yeah, not going to happen.
Exactly, and I was so excited, too, because I don't even know much about the leader, but we're all waiting for the next individual Hulk movie.
The only thing I can tell you, it takes about 4 to make a gallon.
Takes 4 to make it. liter.
4 liters. No, it does not actually make 4 liters to make a
my
gallon.
God.
So please do not put that down on a math test.
That's it. Where's the delete button?
Oh my gosh. Everyone who's listening to this is now 10% dumber.
Well, if I could find the delete button, I could have averted that.
Oh my god.
And on that happy note, you laughed. Admit it, you laughed.
I did not. I'm getting a brain hemorrhage. That was so bad.
No, that's you're getting smarter now because of me.
No.
All right, guys, tell us what you think. The superhero movies. Will there be more rated R now that Deadpool succeeded so much? Or was it just a one-time thing? Let us know what you think. And for all our other off topics, if you have something to say about that, let us know in the comments below. All right, guys, that's it for us for today. We'll see you at the theaters.
Take care.
Be seeing you.